Harlem, New York, late at night. The streets of Harlem were quiet, but something didn't feel right. Rain poured from the dark sky, hitting the pavement in heavy drops. Thunder rolled across the city like warning drums before a storm. On top of an old building, Luke Cage stood still, watching a warehouse below. His jacket was soaked, his eyes sharp. That warehouse didn't belong to Harlem. It had been taken over by Russian gangsters, turning it into a place for weapons, dirty money, and fear. Luke's fists clenched. "I told them to stay out of my city," he said to himself. "Time to send that message again." But what he didn't know was that these Russians weren't afraid. Not anymore. They had called someone powerful, someone made of steel, Colossus. Earlier, in Russia, Pyotr Rasputin, known as Colossus, stood in a cold underground base in Moscow. A man in a black suit slid a photo across the table. "This man, Luke Cage, is interfering with our work," he said. "We want you to stop him." Colossus looked down at the photo, then back at the man. "I don't work for criminals," he said calmly. "This isn't just business. It's about control. Chaos is spreading in New York. If you stop him, innocent lives may be saved." Colossus stayed quiet for a moment. He didn't trust the man, but he did care about keeping people safe. If Luke Cage had crossed a line, he would stop him. For peace, for justice. Back in Harlem, Luke burst through the warehouse door like a human battering ram. The metal bent like paper. Gangsters inside yelled and fired guns, but the bullets bounced off him like rain. He didn't stop moving. One punch knocked a man across the room. Another sent a crate flying. In just minutes, the entire place was wrecked. Luke stood in the middle of it all, breathing hard. And then someone stepped out of the shadows. Tall, strong, skin shining like steel. Colossus. "I don't want to fight you," Colossus said, voice calm but firm. Luke raised an eyebrow. "Then walk away. You're in the way. You're causing problems." "I am the problem if you're on their side," Luke replied, stepping forward. Neither of them backed down. Who they were. Luke Cage grew up in Harlem. He knew the pain of the streets, the way crime eats away at a neighborhood. He fought for the people who couldn't fight back. His body was unbreakable, but his heart carried the weight of every person who came to him for help. Colossus came from Russia, but his heart was full of hope. He believed in peace, in protecting others, in doing the right thing. But sometimes doing the right thing wasn't simple. He had fought monsters before, but this time, the enemy was a man trying to protect his home. The first hit, Colossus made the first move, throwing a heavy punch. Luke blocked it with both arms, the force knocking him back a step. "You're strong," Luke said, gritting his teeth. "So are you," Colossus replied. Then Luke struck back. His fist slammed into Colossus's chest like a wrecking ball. Colossus slid across the floor but stayed standing. They stared at each other in the flickering warehouse lights. Then they charged. The fight spills outside. Luke flew through the wall, landing in the alley outside. Dust and bricks scattered everywhere. He shook it off and stood. Colossus followed through the hole, stepping into the rain. His steel body gleamed with each flash of lightning. "I don't want to hurt you," Colossus said again. Luke wiped blood from his lip. "Then stop swinging." And just like that, they clashed again, fists pounding, ground cracking, rain pouring. Harlem had never seen a fight like this, but something bigger is watching. Above them, a drone hovered, recording everything. Far away, in a dark room filled with screens, someone watched closely. "Two unstoppable forces," the man whispered. "Let them wear each other down. Then we move in." He tapped a button. "Get ready for Protocol Titanfall." Absolutely. The rain didn't let up. Water poured down the crumbling rooftops of Harlem, soaking the streets and echoing with every punch that landed between two titans. Luke Cage and Colossus stood chest to chest in the alley, fists clenched, muscles tensed. Both men were breathing heavily now, but neither would back down. Not yet. With a roar, Luke launched forward, delivering a blow straight to Colossus's jaw that sent sparks flying as steel met unbreakable skin. Colossus stumbled, then spun with a powerful backhand that cracked the air. Luke flew into a nearby car, denting the frame with his back. "You're better than this," Colossus said, stepping forward. "You protect your people. But violence, this isn't the way." Luke coughed, climbed out of the wrecked vehicle and glared. "Don't preach to me. You flew halfway across the world without knowing the truth. You're fighting for the wrong side." Another punch. This time Colossus blocked it and countered with a knee to the gut. Luke doubled over for half a second, but half a second was enough. Colossus wrapped him in a bear hug and slammed him into the pavement. The ground shook. Still, Luke pulled himself up, blood at the corner of his mouth, his eyes burning with fire. "You think steel makes you unbreakable?" he growled. "Try Harlem Heart." With a roar, he grabbed a chunk of broken concrete and swung it like a club. It shattered on Colossus's arm, but the follow-up punch to the ribs sent Colossus skidding across the street, smashing through a lamppost. People were now peeking from their windows, gasping, filming on phones. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. The truth revealed. Inside the warehouse, one of the gangsters was bleeding on the floor, whispering into a radio, "He's fighting the Russian, just like we planned." A shadow stepped over him, a woman in black tactical gear holding a small tablet. She zoomed in on the fight. "Upload the footage," she said. "Once the world sees a hero from Harlem beating up an X-Man, the fallout will be beautiful. Distract the world while we move the product in through the docks." Luke Cage charged with everything he had left. Bruised, soaked in rain and breathing hard, he swung a full-force punch straight at Colossus's face, but Colossus didn't move. He planted his feet, his metallic skin shining under the streetlights, and met Luke's punch with his own, perfectly timed and devastating. The fists collided in midair, but the result was instant. Luke Cage was launched off his feet by the sheer impact, crashing through a parked truck and landing hard against a brick wall. The wall cracked behind him. He didn't get up. For a moment, the alley was silent except for the rain. Colossus stood tall, breathing deeply but still solid, his steel skin reflecting the flashing red lights of distant sirens. He approached slowly, cautiously, stepping over debris. Luke Cage was conscious, groaning, trying to rise, but his body wouldn't listen. "Stay down," Colossus said, voice calm but firm. "You fought with everything. You have heart. But this fight is over." Luke Cage looked up at him, pain in his eyes, but also respect. Later that night, the warehouse was cleared. The Russian crew had fled, their operation crumbling under the weight of their own lies. Colossus stood at the warehouse gate, talking quietly to a local police officer. He made sure the evidence was passed along, the drugs, the recordings, the names. He had come for justice and refused to leave with only broken bones. Inside the alley, Luke Cage sat on a bench, wrapped in a thermal blanket. His pride was wounded more than his body. Colossus approached, silent for a moment. Then he offered a nod. "You fight for your people," Colossus said. "That makes you powerful. Stronger than steel." Luke Cage gave a tired grin. "Still got laid out, though." "You stood your ground against a mutant made of metal," Colossus replied. "Not many can say that." They shook hands, not as rivals, but as warriors who had tested each other. Luke Cage looked up at the sky. The rain had stopped. "Next time," he said, "we talk first." Colossus smiled. "I would like that."